meritorious, victorialus. Erastus necessitas. Spiritus Abdomio. Patriarcha Gladiator. Afflictio Divinitas salutaris. Vertivas libertas.
Hello my brothers and sisters of the Order, welcome back to the Order. I'm Celtic Templar, and welcome back to another how-to video. And today all we are going to be covering none other than the, Romana Britannia Cataphractaria. Now, I can already see many of y'all actually wanting to know about this one, and I decided to get this one done as soon as possible because one, it's going to start getting a little more humid and hot, so best to get this heavy gear done as soon as I can. Now, what are the Roman Briton cataphracts? How long were they used? Well, that's the best understanding of our knowledge to our point in history. Now, in doing so, I would like to use a two-handed lance out here, but unfortunately, I'm not on horseback, so yeah. Now I want to put this out here. This attire I'm wearing right now is of the early equipment, and slowly but surely we will get to the very late period of what they might have actually looked like compared to how they would look like right now. So you're going to see us change out the armor and all that, so that way you can get to see it. Pretty much to know it all. Now, the cataphracts in our own timeline, in general in history, are pretty much as follows. Heavy shock cavalry. And pretty much that's what my job was. In doing so, if I was, say, a cataphract, my job would be to pretty much to use a two-handed lance. Now, why would it be two-handed? Well, one major reason, because the power of the weapon was so ferocious that you needed two hands because of the sheer impact of the weapon. So that's kind of saying a lot. Now, other than their lance, they would have also used bows and such, but in Britannia, they didn't use the composite bow. As one, most of the time, it was their archers on foot that they actually used, rather than light bowmen of that of recurve bows. So, what other weapons would a Roman Briton actually use for other weapons? Well, there would be the mace or an axe, like and such. Now, this is an early medieval mace, but it's as best as I can get to that point in time because of the shafting system. And as well, a type of broadsword or spatha. And now this is a Viking copy, but this is as best as I can get to it because by the later periods, these would evolve and they would look similar to that of Viking swords. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep it like that. Armor. Their armor and equipment changed over time. Originally, the Cataphract looked something like this, but when I think it was like a couple of centuries in, the Britons started to look more like this. For one reason only, lack of money and equipment. In other words, since our major benefactor being the Western Roman Empire has fallen and such, guess what I have to do? I gotta put my own money into this. Now, they would have used laminar, as you see me wearing. They also mostly use scale, though, as over the centuries, by the time of the 8th to 9th century and such, or I should say all the way leading up to the 13th century, the Welsh actually kept using scale armor. And in fact, there has been discoveries found near the region, the northern border of Strathclyde, or the former border of Strathclyde, that showed that there were cavalrymen that wore ridge helmets like this, as you can see. Now, this style of helmet is iconical for them. However, it evolved over time, so there are different variations and such, but I'm just going to keep the one on, because then it's a lot easier to get done. Arms and leg protection. Well, as you can see, I'm wearing split greaves and as well as split arm bracers. This way, it can stop cutting blows, and as well, even a weapon like a mace. The problem is, it cannot stop certain thrusts depending on what type of where it is. So yeah. Now, in earlier periods, you would have seen my full arm decked out in something like, well, this image here, or as well even my legs and my foot. But by the later periods, this starts to degrade and be gone entirely. In other words, the arm guard starts to go. The greaves probably end up staying though. However, shields. A shield like this model I'm using. Now this is a modern steel reproduction of a buckler, but this is as close as I can get, as there are accounts that stated that they use small buckler-like shields. Now they didn't say buckler-like, but in general they said that it was as small as ones that only could cover one's own head if they lifted it up. So if you think about it, that sounds like a buckler, and in general it kind of actually was. Though the evolution of the equipment, as we can understand, the reason they changed it is, well, because of money. Now, other accounts I have also read even state that they had mail leggings and full mail on their arms, so that's saying something. Now, there are even historical manuscripts that even show on this, but, so, yeah. Before anyone starts saying, oh, Templar, why didn't you just dress in full mail or whatever for this? Well, that's the thing. We don't actually have much evidence, to say the least, of what these guys could have looked like in the Roman Britons. Because one, the Roman Britons, their benefactor being the Western Roman Empire, and with a lack of that, money, you're going to get less of this equipment. So, yeah. Now, one thing I do want to add also is sometimes these helmets are even equipped with a facial guard, which might have even inspired the Sutton Hoo helmet of later centuries. So, it's kind of impressive to say the least. But, why don't we have enough talking, and why don't we get right into the video, shall we?
Flan for din i cockage to all jacht was donach for great for baniat nar konjart Robswan, Robsudin Yariga Rim Koabra Noko give up Dina Brekta Ribasavra Film bunje doch lava Wat kan gnetjam Hoor op zudin schlicht noodbogenjem Flan voor Flan Quick in the valley, a young who Kirak in the valley, Trick in the white fog new. Gaal genoenige aroeit wekel voel.
That little bit of a rundown. Now, as y'all saw, me moving this equipment, I felt a little fatigue at all now, even though for one, this is mostly of a cavalry style unit, so these guys would have been a lot more heavy duty. Now, y'all probably all saw in the video I did not bring the big giant lance on here, because one, the lance would have been double the size of the spear I showed you earlier in the video. So that's saying how big it would have been. It would have been so big, I don't think I would have gotten it in frame. So that's saying something. And the fact is also to the fact that these were a two-handed weapon and that they were used on horseback only. And mostly I was just doing an everyday rundown, like say for example I got dismounted and in doing so I had to fight. And we saw clearly from the first equipment and armor, I was wearing laminar, mail, and said greaves and such. But later on, we started to see pretty much only it being used in one variation, such as mail, laminar, and now scale all by itself. This is kind of because of one major reason. It's because of the lack of funding. In fact, during the early centuries, the Britons managed to have enough money to have this said huge amounts of cataphracts dressed in this regalia of armor. But later on down the line, the equipment started to, well, become less and less. and the shields started to get bigger. That's why we went from a buckler to something like this. Now, here many people are already saying, oh, but Templar, you didn't use the archer on the horse deck. Well, that's because, as I said before, the recurved bow would not actually be used by the Britons. As one, there is very little historical evidence that proves it. It was ever used in the British Isles at the time. So, yeah. As well, by the later centuries, such as by the 8th century, I could see them probably wearing scale and mail a lot more, because we can actually hear accounts that scale would still be used all the way into the time of the 13th century, used by the Welsh military noblemen. So we can see why. However, from accounts I have read, it's actually stated by the 8th century they would have been double or even triple the size scales of this size. So that's actually saying how big they were actually getting. So yeah, we can understand to the point that one, the history of the Roman Britannians were changing up over the centuries. But by the later centuries, this equipment was slowly degrading and dying off to the point that one, it was becoming non-existent. But we can see to the fact that one, I see why they kept using scale armor. However, only the most noble would probably end up wearing mail with scale. So, yeah. But we can see that these guys were probably the perfect version of the Arthurian legend of the Knights of the Round Table, if you would. Because whenever I think of the Knights of the Round Table, I think of the Cataphracts for some reason. Because they were fully decked out, they could afford it all. So that's saying a lot. But yeah. Let me know down in the comments below of what equipment and armor y'all want me to do next. If y'all have a warrior mystery y'all want us to do, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll hopefully get right to it as soon as possible. If y'all want to learn more about this, I will put links down below in the description, so that way y'all can actually learn more about it. And as well, if y'all want to get this equipment for yourselves, I will also leave links down below in the description. Anyways guys, it's been Celtic Templar. Hope to see y'all in the next one, and have a great day y'all.